What up? What up? What up? Welcome back to the scorecard, the boxing scorecard, where I ask people to bring their scorecard and an explanation, not just simply your opinion. So we had a couple of big fights last night in the boxing world. We'll get to them, but the main event that we're going to start with is at the lightweight division, 135 pounds, with Mr. Vasiliy Lomachenko versus Mr. Ortiz. Ortiz is not really a well-known guy. He was coming up through the ranks. Thank you for putting up his stat there, Mr. Jamaine Ortiz. He was actually a former sparring partner of Lomachenko, but a respectable one. Not just a guy in there. He actually, gave him some good work and helped him prepare. His nickname is the Technician, Jamaine the Technician Ortiz, and he came in with a record of 16 wins, eight knockouts, with only his first loss coming last night. So he was undefeated. The other big win that he does have on his record is against Jamel Herring, who former champion himself, just lost his title to Shakur Stevenson, but before that was one of the top boxers, still is a top boxer in that division. And then moving on to Vasiliy Lomachenko. I like to pronounce these guys' names properly. Vasiliy Anatolyevich Lomachenko. Oh, actually did pretty good that time. He is 34 years old, from the Ukraine, one of the most accomplished boxers, amateur and professional, in history. Two-time Olympic gold medalist, a record of 396 wins with only one loss, and he revenged that loss, beat the guy 2 times just to make sure it was clear. Make sure that it was clear that he's better. As a professional, his record is 17 wins with 11 knockouts with only 2 losses. He's unified, won multiple belts in multiple divisions, and he's done it faster. I'm pretty sure he's done it faster than most people in history. I don't know about some that it's not. I don't think it's going to be accomplished anytime soon, with the way that people like to rush into the pros for the money. Took his time. Now, the only thing with being a 2-time gold medalist is that you stay for 2 Olympic cycles. When you turn pro, you're starting a little bit later in your late 20s. So as much as he's accomplished and as good as he still is at 34 years old, I always mention that in real life age, that's not old, but in an athletic age, that's starting to get up there. So this is where he has to be careful, because as good as he is, he's 34 years old. Getting to that point where as a grown male or female, you're still going to have maintain your strength as you get older. But the one athletic things, some of the athletic things that you start to lose is your speed, reflexes, and stuff like that. So anyways, we got to get to the scorecard, because that's what you guys are here for. Much respect to Mr. Ortiz, because he put up a much tougher fight than most people expected. The official scorecards was 116 to 112, 117 to 111, and 115 to 113, all in favor for Mr. Lomachenko. My specific scorecard was a draw, 114 to 114. I had specifically, there's a lot of close rounds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 rounds that I marked specifically as close rounds. So again, 117, 111 is a wide scorecard. I don't know, when I go to so mine was 114, 114. If I would have scored the close rounds, obviously a close round is described as could have went either way, then that's how the numbers could kind of get mixed up. So I guess a lot of the close rounds that I marked, so that judge that scored at 117, 111 for Lomachenko, because that's the thing. Most of the close rounds I'm pretty sure I did mark for Ortiz. Anyways, let's get through it. Let's go through it. Round 1, I didn't mark any notes for now in round 1, but Ortiz came out and just established himself. Lomachenko looked like he was just moving around trying to feel him out a little bit. You know, that's the kind of thing, as I mentioned before, that these two are former sparring partners for a couple of weeks. And the thing when you're fighting an actual sparring partner, it makes you think a little bit more, because this person actually knows the moves that you've been working on during the training camp, not this specific training camp, but a previous one. So it kind of plays with your head a little bit. You know, they kind of know what you're about to do. And you can tell Mr. Ortiz did his studying. They spent 5 weeks sparring with each other for one of Lomachenko's previous fights. And Ortiz did his studying. He definitely did his studying, because he did very good in that first round. It wasn't anything specific that gave it to him, but you know, he just did a little bit more, landed a little bit more in that first round. Second round, I also gave to Ortiz. My notes was Ortiz landed multiple counter left hooks that were clean. Yes. After the second round, Lomachenko was a southpaw, standing with his right foot forward, so his right shoulder would be kind of forward on this left side of his face, and Ortiz is an orthodox, so standing on this side, catching him with multiple counter left hooks. At the end of the second round, Lomachenko had a little scratch under his eye. Now, commentators are trying to say it was a scratch from the gloves, which can happen sometimes, but I'm pretty sure it was from the clean counter left hooks that Mr. Ortiz was landing. The third round. So 1, 2, 3, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. From 3 to 8, I marked every one of those as close rounds, because it was close. Round 3, which I gave to, who did I give it to specifically? I gave it to Ortiz. You know what? I gave Ortiz the first 4 rounds. Specifically round 3, both landed clean, but Ortiz landed a bit more. Loma's eyes is bothering him. Yeah, you can tell, because he was, you know, when someone's blinking a little bit more, you can kind of tell that it's bothering them a little bit. Not too much, but he didn't look exactly like the Matrix Loma that we're so used to seeing now. The question is it because he's 34 years old and reflexes are slowing down, or is Ortiz that good and studied that well from that, you know, from the previous sparring that he's able to keep up with them? That is the question. Round 4, I also gave to Mr. Ortiz. No notes for round 4, but I marked it as a close round. Oh yeah, that's why, because the Jake Paul and Silva fight was kind of on at the same time, so I was showing respect to the boxing. Of course, I was paying attention to Loma and Ortiz. During the break, I was watching the Jake Paul and Silva. That's why sometimes I don't have notes for these for this one. Round 5, marked it as a close round. Round 5 I gave to Loma. Round 5 was the first round I gave to Lomachenko. And my specific notes for that one was the first round that Lomachenko looked like he landed more. At the end of the fight too, I didn't write this down, so I want to make sure I say it before I forget at the end. The total punches landed, so I make sure I got the highlights on here. The total punches landed was, I believe, somebody correct me if I'm wrong. And where's the scorecards in the chat, man? Where's everybody at? I know there's people listening. Where's your scorecards? Put them in the chat, or at least give me your educated opinion on the fights last night. Was the first, so Lomachenko, the punches landed was 125 to, I believe, 121. That's how close it was at the end of the match. So that just goes to show you. Yeah, round 5 was the first round. Round 6, I marked it as a close round. I gave it to Lomachenko, but I also marked it as a close round. My specific stats notes was Ortiz slowing down a bit, Loma simply landing more cleaner shots. You know what's funny too about all these picks? Yeah, I keep going through the picks. I don't know if the photographers did this on purpose or if Google did this on purpose. Like, all the picks that you're seeing of the fight are looks like Lomachenko is dominating him, but it wasn't. I don't know why. I was looking. There's like no pictures of the good work that Ortiz was doing. Yeah, keep flipping through those picks. But yeah, there was no actual like, all the picks that you're seeing is Lomachenko doing good, which, you know, obviously pictures don't lie. He was doing this, but Ortiz was doing his thing too. As actually you can see in this pic right here, look at Lomachenko's eye on that right side, right under it. That was from the counter left hooks that Ortiz was landing the whole time. Back to the scorecard. Round seven, I marked it as close round. I gave it to Ortiz. My specific notes was very close. He made Loma take a walk after a few body shots. There was a point in that 7th round that Ortiz landed a few body shots, and everyone knows you want to do your best to never show your opponent that you're tired or hurt. But sometimes body shots, it's hard to hide them. Ortiz landed a few good body shots, a few good uppercuts to the body, and Loma had to take a walk. He didn't show no facial expressions, but he took those body shots and in turn had to take a walk to catch his breath for a second. So that was nice to see there. Made Loma take a walk after a few body shots. Round 8. Round 8 was a close round. I also gave it to Mr. Ortiz. My notes were nothing special, just very close. Yeah, man. I'm assuming this is how their sparring went. With Loma doing his thing. Again, pictures like this is sorry, this Ortiz was doing his thing, not beating Lomachenko down like this, but beating Lomachenko to the punch, making Lomachenko back up. And Lomachenko can fight going backwards. He has good enough footwork. There's not so many boxers that are good boxers, have good offense going backwards too. Lomachenko does have that, but Ortiz was doing his thing and nullifying most of that. All right, now this is the thing here. So that was round 8. Now up to round 8, the score for me was 70. It was 78-74 for Mr. Ortiz. The next 4 rounds, and it was only the last round that I marked as a close round, I gave to Lomachenko. So round 9, 10, 11, and 12, I gave to Lomachenko, and that's the only reason why the fight ended up a draw. Now, for me, a lot of people are saying it's crazy. It was clear for Ortiz. Yes, Ortiz did his thing. Again, bring your scorecard. Not only tell me what you saw. So, specifically, round 9, Loma landed slightly cleaner. I told you, at the end of the fight, the punches that were counted landed was like 125 to 121. So that shows you how close it was, and it really was that close. Round 10, and these weren't close rounds. I didn't mark these as close rounds. I marked them all for Lomachenko. Round 10. So after round 9, it was 87-84, still for Ortiz. Going into round 10, I marked it. It wasn't marked as a close round, but I gave it to Lomachenko. I wrote Loma landing more pressure, more landing pressure from Lomachenko. They were both kind of going back and forth, but when Lomachenko would press forward, he would land because his hands are just faster, he was landing a little bit more of the exchanges. Ortiz again was doing his thing, but Loma would land a little bit more during those small exchanges. Not hard punches, because both guys, guys really nobody got dropped. Just because nobody got dropped doesn't mean that punches don't hurt. Don't get that twisted. But anyways, moving on from there. Yeah, round 10 to Lomachenko, just because he had more landing pressure. So after round 10, it was still 96-94 for Ortiz. Round 11. No notes for round 11, but I gave it to Lomachenko. So that was So after round 11, it was 105-104 for Mr. Ortiz. So it was up to round 12. If it wasn't for round 12, then Ortiz would have won. So round 12, I marked it as a close round. It was a very close round. No notes for that, but I marked it as a very close round, and that's why I ended up with a 114-114 draw. Much respect to Jamaine, the technician Ortiz. He did his thing in the first half of the fight, more than the first half of the fight, and it was really just the last 4 rounds. I gave Lomachenko the 5th and 6th, and then from 9, 10, 11, 12. That's how it ended up a draw. With 7 rounds I marked as close rounds. 7 of them I marked as close rounds. So where do both guys go from here? Let me check how old is Mr. Ortiz real quick. Box Rick. Jamaine Ortiz, he is the computer's a little slow here. Anyways, Jamaine Ortiz, he's still young. He still has a good career ahead of him. Just checking to see how old he is to see if he's probably gonna move up soon or not like that. But Lomachenko, there are already talks after the fight. Devin Haney was in the ring, got into the ring, and said they were gonna fight. I don't really get excited when just because they verbally agree to terms, because until it's officially 100% signed, I don't get excited because just like a couple of weeks ago, perfect example. With Crawford and Spence, they just because they had a date, the whole social media world went crazy. Everyone's posting, the fight's happening this date. They're like, whoa, slow down. They didn't officially sign. They said yes, they said the date, but no, it wasn't officially yet. So anyways, my whole point of saying that is I don't get excited until it's official. So it's getting closer. Obviously, Lomachenko said he would agree to any terms. He would, and Lomachenko understands that he is in this situation now. He is the B side, and Devin Haney is the A side, because Devin Haney is undisputed. He has all the belts, so it's going to be under his terms. Not going to be no 50-50 split, whether it's 60-40 or whatever. Lomachenko understands that, and I really believe that fight's going to happen sometime next year, early next year, hopefully. So yeah, man. For Mr. Ortiz, no. Anyways, he put up just this match that he's put up. He's had a couple of good matches. Like the last fight. Speaking of Mr. Ortiz, you can keep flipping through those. The last match that he had was against Jamel Herring, and that's the reason why that put him in this position for the Lomachenko fight. That put him in the position for this Lomachenko fight. He had a big win and put up a very good showing last night too. Again, just 1 round away from winning. Like for me specifically, that last round, which I marked as a close round, is what made it a draw. If Ortiz would have won that round, he would have won that fight on my scorecard. And I wish there was more pictures. Maybe now there is. I don't know. It's the morning after. There was more pictures to show the good work that Ortiz was doing, because all these pics just makes it look like Loma dominated him. So again, how much time could Loma stay at this high level? Now, before this fight, a lot of people were saying that Loma would still be favorite to beat most of the guys at the 135-pound division. The Lopez, who he lost to, moved up to 140 pounds. And Shakur Stevenson missed weight at 130, so he's going to be staying at 135 pounds. That's going to be interesting. Devin Haney has hinted about moving up to 140, but I believe he'd stick around and go with Lomachenko, go against Lomachenko to put that name under his belt. That'd be very, very good. I kind of seen it as a draw. Yes, exactly. Thank you for chiming in, WB Boxing. What does WB stand for anyway? Good morning to you. Thank you for coming in. Let me know what WB stands for so I could give you a good shout out. But yeah, exactly. I had it 114 to 114, a draw, and it was just that one pound that made a difference. What I was just getting into is where do both fighters go from here? Um, so because the fights and it all depends. That fight with Haney should hopefully happens sometime next year, because I don't know how much longer Devin Haney's going to be able to stay at 135 pounds before he can move up. Just naturally. He's in his mid 20s right now. You get to 26, 27. You can still make the weight, but it's harder, and it's harder on your body to cut to the lower weight. So Lomachenko is that, I believe, is at his ceiling as far as weight classes now. I definitely don't think Lomachenko has the body frame to move up to 140. So he's staying at 135. There's Devin Haney, but then if there's Devin Haney, and then there's Shakur Stevenson, who, if you guys listen to me on the show, I've been saying for a while that I believe Shakur Stevenson is going to be one of the number one guys in the sport very soon, just because of his skill level and his maturity level. Speaking of guys, just to get into the mix too, Robisi Ramirez, WBC, just a family name acronym. I'm actually Greg from the Weigh-In Podcast. Oh, my man Greg, what up? Much respect to the Weigh-In Podcast. Yes, man, one of the other top Canadian boxing podcasts. Much respect to you guys. I was just mentioning Shakur Stevenson, someone associated with Shakur Stevenson. This is tied in with Lomachenko and Ortiz here in around the same division. I was mentioning Robisi Ramirez, who was on the undercard. Robisi Ramirez is the person who beat Shakur Stevenson at the 2016 Olympics. He lost his first professional fight, getting adjusted to the pro level, but since then he's doing his thing. The one thing though, he has to pick up, and I always say he has to pick up the pace as far as taking care of his opponents. And I always mention, if a boxer is doing his thing, you can't, it's up to the other person to press the boxer to do it. Sometimes though, there's certain situations where it's pretty clear, like, man, you could do a little bit more to take care of this guy and get him out of there. So I think that was the situation last night with Mr. Robisi Ramirez, who he's not at 135, he's at 130 or even 126. Potentially could move up to 130, but he's a little guy too, so he might be staying at 126 or like I said, at the top, at the most, he might move up to 130. But I just mentioned him because he's a very good boxer too. The last person to defeat Shakur Stevenson, who now is at 135 pounds. So I don't think at the beginning of their careers they were talking about having them fight each other, but I don't think Shakur is just naturally getting bigger now. So I don't think that fight is going to happen. But can you imagine Shakur Stevenson versus Vasiliy Lomachenko? Because Lomachenko has said already, this is not just rumor, I heard him say this just recently, that he said that he believes that Shakur Stevenson would be a harder fight. Not that he's not saying he'd automatically win against Haney. Well, obviously, every fighter thinks they're going to win, but he didn't say Haney would be an easy fight that he's going to win. He just said Shakur Stevenson would be a tougher fight. And I 100% agree, because I always said Shakur Stevenson, this guy, man, he's I don't know him personally. I don't know how he is outside of boxing, but inside the ring, he's very mature for his age. Like I said, when he lost, he got a silver medal at the Olympics when he was like 18 or 19, whatever is the age, not limit, but minimum to get in. Like, he just barely made it, and he got a silver medal against the Cuban who was already a gold medalist the last time out, and just lost a very close decision. So from then, I knew that his maturity wise inside the ring, he's more mature than his boxing age. Which is why I agree with what Lomachenko said, that that the Shakur Stevenson would be a tougher fight. And once again, much respect to Devin Haney, because he is not no joke either. He's a very good fighter, a very smart fighter, knows how to use his jab, knows how to maintain his distance. So that's going to be interesting. So it's really going to be who can get to who first. 34 years old. The fight happens next year. We'll see, man. We'll see, because it's and that's the other thing that's going to be interesting when people talk about this fight, because I always wonder how people pick and choose which fighters that they'll give the excuse that this fighter was too old, and they'll give another fighter credit for fighting a fighter that was the same age. So there's a few examples that we'll get into another time, but anyways, Mayweather was 36 years old when he schooled Canelo. Anyways, I just wanted to throw that in there. So yeah, the reason why I bring that up is, as I said at the beginning, it's going to be interesting to see how long Lomachenko can maintain his speed, reaction time, and reflexes at the lighter weight classes. In the heavier weight classes, you can maintain more of your power. Specifically at the heavyweight division, you can rely a little bit more on your power as you get older, because you do lose those speed and reflexes. In the lower weight classes, where you actually do rely on your speed and your counter punching ability skills, your ability, your speed, not just for offense, but speed for getting out of the way of punches, speed for your defense, for defending punches. That matters a little bit more in the lower weight classes. You still, your brain is still there to see everything coming. I remember Muhammad Ali said once, through round 5. Muhammad Ali said once, as like when you got older, like your footwork, it feels like you're moving in sand, and when your punches, it feels like you're punching underwater. For anyone that's ever like shadow box underwater, it's actually a good strengthening tool for your whole body, because you have to turn your whole body into it. Anyways, just imagine in real life in the ring, that feeling. Because you still see, because Muhammad Ali said, you still see everything that's happening. You just can't react to it as fast. That is the problem why, not just in boxing, but in all professional sports, why athletes have to retire around that age. In other sports like baseball, you can, you could be a what do you call it, designated hitter, and not do anything in the field and just go up to bat every couple of times, and you can prolong your career in certain sports. In boxing, there's no substitutions, there's no timeouts. You just have to rely on your skills, right? So my whole point of saying that is going to be interesting to see how long Vasiliy Lomachenko, one of the most accomplished boxers of our generation, amateur and pro, is how long can he maintain himself at this level? Yeah. The other fight that I started scoring but got distracted from, Zepeda versus Diaz. Zepeda versus Jojo Diaz was a very good match. I'm going to get to Jake Paul and Anderson Silva right after this too. Zepeda and Diaz, very interesting. Diaz is a veteran. His resume is definitely filled up, a respectable resume. He's fought some good guys. Zepeda is up and coming. I don't got his exact record, but he has a lot of knockouts for his. Pretty sure he's 27 or something like that. 27-0, 23 knockouts, but a very high knockout percentage. My whole point of bringing that up is that his style of fighting is very interesting, because most boxers that have a lot of knockouts on their record, they're more type of, for the best example, like a Deontay Wilder, like single punch, or Gervonta Davis, guys that can get you out with a single punch. Zepeda, he's more of a volume puncher, and volume punchers aren't really known for having power. They're just known for putting that work in there. But Zepeda, he has a little bit of that combination. Why is my box not coming up? he has a little bit of that combination of volume with power behind those punches that are coming at you. So you can tell earlier on, I gave the first 3 rounds to Cepeda, and then I couldn't score after that. Because there was the other fights on too. So was watching those ones, but I made sure to pay attention to the main event here. So I got to go back and watch that one. Cepeda won a close one. I saw him get his hand raised at the end, but Diaz was landing. He showed his veteranship by countering Cepeda a few times later on. But the thing is, Ortiz landed some good solid ones that were harder, visibly harder than what Cepeda landed. But again, Zepeda's volume he just came back with the volume. That's what helped him carry him over to the end of the fight. Got to go back and watch that one again because that was a good one. Yeah. All right. So for the YouTube showdown, we can get to the other picks now. We'll get to the Jake Paul and Mr. Anderson Silva. Take a quick sip before we dive into this one here. So, Anderson Silva, give you a few things about his stats here. His resume, 34 wins, 11 losses, 1 no contest. So 34 wins, 23 knockouts was his MMA record. He had 10 successful title defenses. This is in MMA, not boxing, though. 10 successful title defenses. The longest championship reign in UFC history, 2,457 days. He reigned as champion. How many years is that? Why wouldn't you just put in years? Anyways, longest win streak in UFC history with 16. Most knockouts in UFC title fights with 7. From Sao Paulo, Brazil, Mr. Anderson Silva, the Spider, one of the greatest fighters of all time. But he's 47 years old. About 10 years past the reaction and reflexes time. Going up against Jake Paul, who, I mentioned this before, this guy talks a lot of trash. I know he talks a lot of trash through the media. But when it comes to his boxing training, this guy actually is taking his boxing seriously. And for everyone, they're saying, yes, for him to eventually fight a real boxer. I honestly believe that he's slowly working his way up to that. Because you guys have to remember something. He never had any amateur fights, right? He never had any amateur fights. And if you think about it, he actually has stepped up in competition each time. His first fight was against some nobody YouTuber. His second fight was against Nate Robinson, who was at least a professional athlete. His third fight was against Ben Askren, who was at least an MMA fighter. Fight after that was against Tyron Woodley, who was at least a MMA champion. And now this fight against Anderson Silva, who, again, another, not just a champion, but an MMA Hall of Famer, past his prime, retired. But again, so if you think about it, he's still technically a novice boxer. Like if he was in amateur boxing, he'd be considered an amateur boxer with only 5 or 6 fights. So if you look at it in that perspective, he is stepping up in competition. And so just imagine if you never fought before and your first couple of fights are against thousands of, in front of thousands of people with millions of people watching on TV. Anyways, man, he's stepping it up. The fight was was the fight. He won by, I don't know if it was unanimous or split decision. He did. Yeah. Thank you. We got the tail of the tape here too. So we got okay. This is Anderson Silva's boxing record: 3 wins and 1 loss. I wonder who that loss is to. My man Greg, do you know who that loss is to in boxing from from Anderson Silva. They both have 2 knockouts. No, sorry, my bad. Jake Paul has 4 knockouts. Anderson Silva 2 in boxing. How much did they both weigh for this? 188. They both weighed 188. Anderson Silva 1 inch taller and had a 2-inch reach advantage. And yeah, he did his thing. I remember back in the day when Anderson Silva was still in his actual prime, they were trying to set something up with him versus Roy Jones Jr., who was past his prime back then. Osmar Luis Teixeira. Who the F is that? Osmar Luis Teixeira. Well, much respect to you. I don't mean to say your name like that. Ortiz's loss. You mean Silva's loss? Anderson Silva's loss in boxing? Yeah, thank you. So this was the guy that Anderson Silva lost to, I guess, I don't know, a journeyman. Kind of like, again, the boxing's a little bit different than, obviously not a lot different, but much different than the MMA, when you can use and take advantage of certain things and certain angles. But yeah, man, it was a close fight. Anderson Silva did get knocked down at the end of the match. I guess that was I didn't score this one. Like I said, I was I was watching this one during the first couple of rounds. I paid attention to the last, like, what was it, 8 rounds? So we started watching it, paying attention, I think, around the 4th round. But before that, I was paying attention to the main event of Loma and Ortiz. So I was watching this one like during the 1-minute break. But when I was, when I was paying attention, it did look like a close, like a close match. I don't know. Anderson did some move where he kind of kicked up his leg a little bit and faked like it was almost like a Superman jab. But again, the novice fighter in Jake Paul. Where does he go from here? So this fight was 188 pounds, so that's right under cruiserweight. It's gonna be interesting, man. It's gonna be interesting. I wonder if he would fight someone like our fellow Canadian Ryan Ruzicki, who I believe can fight at fights around that weight. Like, that'd be a good step up fight for Jake Paul, and a big a big that would put our Canadian Ryan Ruzicki on the big stage. He already is a good professional right now. His coach, Steve Bailey, very good coach out of TO. So I think that would be Jake Paul's first boxing match, Canadian Ryan Ruzicki. And yeah, man, that would be a good step up. And yeah, it'd be very interesting, because at 188 pounds, that's I don't think Paul's gonna go back down to 100 and lightweight division, which is 175. But he would, and the one after that, the cruiserweight division, that's right around there. I think the limit for that is like 201, so he's right in there. So again, it'd be interesting. But again, this guy Jake Paul, like, he's bringing in guys like he's bringing in guys like Chad Dawson, who was, if you guys don't know, was a former champion. He was right up there in rated top 5, at 168 or 175. Had tough matches with Andre Ward, a lot of guys, Jean Pascal, the other Canadian. But yeah, man, Chad Dawson, a great former champion. These are the guys that Jake Paul is bringing in for his sparring. The heavyweight that Fury fought too. Anyways, my whole point of saying that is this guy's bringing in some serious sparring partners, and he has the money to do it. That's the thing. When you're coming up in the ranks, usually novices, you just have to get in sparring wherever you can. When you get to a certain level, when you get to a certain level and you're making some good money as a pro, whereas boxing or MMA, you have the money to pay for good guys to come in, to help you prepare for your fights. And so that's what this guy's actually doing. And like I said, man, he's actually looking like he's improving. He's not just out there swinging punches. If you really think about it, try to get past all the trash that he talks out there in the social media and actually look at what he's doing inside the ring. He actually is getting better. He actually is honestly getting better. And as far as what he's doing outside of the ring, you know, he's helping guys make more money. That's but at the end of the day, most of the people that fight on his cards, like when he's the main event and there's a bunch of undercards, most of the people that fight on those cards, it's their biggest payday of their careers, especially the MMA guys. Especially the MMA guys, but even the boxers, like it's their biggest paydays. So, you know what I'm saying? I don't see him doing anything negative to the sport of boxing right now. So we'll see where he goes from here. All right, man. It looks like that's all we have for this week. Yeah, man. Look at this accurate punch that he landed there. I tell you, man, this guy's doing his thing, man. He's getting better. Of course, this is Anderson Silva at 47 years old. If this was 10, 15 years ago, Anderson Silva probably would have slipped that punch and landed a inside uppercut or something to the body. See how wide, like, the thing is, if you can slip, if Anderson Silva in this picture right here, if Anderson Silva could slip to his left and then land a left uppercut to his body, right where Paul is open, like make him miss that straight right hand and then land a left uppercut to his body, those are the type of reflexes that you need. That's the difference between having the speed and reaction time with your defense to get out of the way of punches. If this was Anderson Silva in his prime, I honestly don't believe. I honestly believe he would have reacted fast enough to get to see that punch coming and get out of the way. So that's the dangerous thing about boxing when you're older. It's one thing to hit the bag and, you know, do it for the workout, but to actually get in there and still do this at that age, it's dangerous, man. It's dangerous. But yeah. All right, man. That's all we have it for this week. If you haven't done it yet, please like, share, and subscribe, and tell a friend to tell a friend. You know, the Talkin Fight channel, #1 boxing YouTube channel on YouTube and on all platforms. My show specifically, if you can't catch it live every Sunday at 9:30 a.m. Eastern time, you can catch the recording on any podcast platform that you can find it on. So yeah, I appreciate any constructive criticism. And hit me up on my social media at Cedric Sports and Cedric Sports Training YouTube channel too. Shout out to everyone out there taking the time to listen to this show. All right, man. Peace.